Halacha Yomi. We are up to page 416. Today we're going to speak about non-Jewish housekeepers. Okay, how to deal with them and what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. Are you allowed to benefit? You're not allowed to benefit. Number 5. It is prohibited to benefit from water that was boiled by a non-Jewish housekeeper on Shabbat. Let's say the kumkum, the urn, was running low, and she filled it up by herself. Let's say, right? She said, "Oh, it's empty. Let me fill it up. That way, the boss and his family and his guests can have water on Shabbat." The problem is, she's cooking water on Shabbat, and she can't do it for you. What's the permission to do it for you? Even if you didn't tell her, you can't benefit from something that a goy did for you. Has to be that there was a permission to do it, but here you can't cook on Shabbat for a Jew, so therefore it's prohibited.
Is she drinking by herself?
Good question. The water is prohibited even if it was boiled for herself, without the Jew in mind. Why? Since there's a concern she may add more water for the Jew on the following Shabbat, right? So therefore, since it's going to lead to her doing it for you also, so therefore the Chachamim forbade it. Such a non-Jew has the status of acquaintance, even if she only just began working in the Jew's home. 6. If a non-Jewish housekeeper washed clothing or ironed clothing on Shabbat, sometimes they're so used to working in other places, and in other places they do laundry on Shabbat, they iron on Shabbat. So she came, you hire her, she starts working on Shabbat, she cleans, she washes dishes, then you see her, where'd she go? She was doing laundry in the basement. Whoa, who told you to do that? She started ironing clothes. Whoa, who told you to do that? So now what happens? Are you allowed to benefit from these clothing? If a non-Jewish housekeeper washed clothing or ironed clothing on Shabbat, the clothes may not be worn by a Jew on Shabbat. Doing so would be benefiting from Halacha that was done by him, for him, by a non-Jew. 7. If one sees his housekeeper is about to do laundry, you see her coming down with the bin full of clothes. Well, where are you going? I'm going to do laundry. So a guy could say to himself, okay, I didn't tell her. If she wants to go do it. No, you're not allowed to let her do it. You're obligated to stop her. So too, if you see her sewing a garment for her Jewish employer, one is obligated to stop her. 8. A housekeeper is permitted to do melacha, and that's clearly for her own benefit. Is she allowed to take out her phone or turn on her light in her room? Yes, only in private. She has to do these things in private. If she's doing melacha purely for herself, it will be mutar. Yes.
What if you allow her to do laundry for herself? She needs a laundry machine.
Yeah.
And she includes her stuff.
Oh, so that's a problem. That's a problem. She wouldn't be allowed to do that.
Why is that an issue? She's doing it for herself.
Right. You're right. But at the end of the day, she might come to do it herself also. For your stuff by itself also.
If she turns on the light for herself, and you're benefiting from that, that's a problem?
No, that's allowed.
So that's different.
The difference is that you're right in this load. You're right. There's nothing wrong with this load. But at the end of the day, she's going to learn from this that you like your laundry being done. So I'm saying for the next time it's an issue. Right? Just like by the water, right?
That time.
Yeah.
For that time you're allowed to use it.
Technically, yeah. But she shouldn't be doing that. In general, you should tell her not to do that, because then she's going to think that laundry is okay for you on Shabbat. And she's going to do just your clothes. Understand? Fine. Number 9. It is not permitted to allow a housekeeper to water one's lawn or plants on Shabbat. What does she do? She turns on the sprinklers on Shabbat manually. She takes water and she's giving water to all the plants in the house. You have to stop her. You have to tell her, no, don't do that. It's not allowed. I can't do it. You can't do it for me either. Number 10. In a place where there is no eruv, it is not permitted to allow one's housekeeper to take out the garbage on Shabbat. There's no eruv, but if there's eruv, mutar. 11. If a housekeeper turns on a light in a room on behalf of a Jew, it is prohibited to benefit from the light. However, if she did it for her own purposes, it is permitted to benefit from the light. 12. It is not permitted to tell a housekeeper on Shabbat to turn on the heat or the air conditioning unless it's needed for a person who's sick or a child. In that case, you can hint in an indirect manner. If the air conditioner is already running, it's permitted to hint to the housekeeper to turn it to a stronger setting. 13. What? Elderly or a child?
Any child?
Yeah, children, they get overheated easily, or they might get sick easily when it's cold and they need heat.
And you could
Hint to them, yes. 13. It is permitted to indirectly tell a housekeeper from before Shabbat to shut off the lights on Shabbat in a specific room once one is done using it. For example, one may tell the maid during the weekday, why didn't you shut off the lights last week after we finished the meal? Even though she'll understand that on Shabbat you want the lights to be turned off. since you hinted it in this kind of way during the week, it will be permitted. 14, it is permitted to tell a non-Jewish housekeeper during the week, you should have vacuumed the carpet last week after Shabbat, even though she'll understand from the statement that one wants the carpet on the coming Motzei Shabbat to be vacuumed immediately after Shabbat ends. 15, one does not need to stop a housekeeper from washing the dishes with hot water. Let's say you tell her, here, please wash dishes. And as she washes dishes, she turns on hot water. But I didn't tell her to turn on hot water. She's washing the dishes with hot water on Shabbat. Even though I myself cannot do that, you're allowed to let her wash dishes with hot water if she does it herself. Likewise, one does not have to stop her from using a sponge. We're not allowed to use sponges on Shabbat. It's considered squeezing water from the sponge to use a sponge. But she uses the sponge by herself. She took it. That's allowed. You don't have to stop her. However, in both cases, it's specifically forbidden. It's forbidden to request her to do it specifically. If you specifically say, use hot water, please, you can't do that. Or use a sponge, please, you can't do that. 16, one does not need to stop a housekeeper from putting dishes away for later, even if the dishes will not be used till after Shabbat. Let's say, we did shlishayi in my house, third meal, and Halacha says you can't prepare for the week during Shabbat, so you got to leave everything as is. But what does the housekeeper see? She says, oh, it's a mess over here, let me clean up. She starts putting everything away. You don't have to stop her, because this preparation for during the week, that's on us. That we're allowed to let her do. But real Torah melacha, forbidden melacha, that we're not allowed to let her do for us even on her own. 17, if a housekeeper is doing a melacha for her own convenience, let's say I told her wash the dishes, and she's umna. What is she? She's smart. What does she do? Why should I wash the dishes? I'm gonna stuff it in the dishwasher. I'll use the dishwasher and let the dishwasher wash the dishes. I didn't tell her to use the dishwasher. I told her just wash the dishes. And for her own convenience, she wants to do melacha in order to make it easier for herself. All right? Or let's say I told her, please sweep this carpet. Sweep this whole carpet. It has a lot of stuff over there. Clean it up. What does she do? She says, why should I sweep? Why should I clean the floor with a broom? I'll go and use a vacuum cleaner. I'll go and use something that's melacha related, and it'll make my job easier for her own convenience. One does not have to prevent her from doing so, since it's possible to be done in a permissible way. Yep. Okay, 18. One may not give his housekeeper extra clothing or food for her to take home on Shabbat if one is in a place where there's no eruv, since it will appear as if one instructed her to take items into Reshut Rabim. Sometimes people, they have clothes or shoes, they don't fit them anymore, so they ask the housekeeper, you want this? Oh, it is very good, thank you, sir. And she goes and she takes it home. So what happens? If she takes it in a place there's no eruv, so it looks like you gave her a package to carry for you, and since it looks like that, it'll be forbidden. But if there's eruv, there's no problem.
But she usually comes with a backpack or something.
That's I didn't tell her to take that. Here, when I'm giving her this stuff.
You gave it to her, she puts it inside her purse.
You're right. Okay, so you're right. If there's other stuff, if it's hidden in there, you're right. But if I gave her a bag specifically to take care, yeah. 19. If a housekeeper keeps performing prohibited activities on Shabbat on behalf of a Jew, it's incumbent on the employer to warn her that if she continues to do so, she will be dismissed from her job. What happens? She turns on lights. I told her, I'm sorry, Esperanza, you cannot turn on lights for us. I told you it's asur on Shabbat. She said, okay, sir, okay. You know those guys who say, okay, and they still they'll do what they do. The next week she turns on his lights again. I told you, don't do this no more. Eventually you got to start saying, if you keep doing this, I'm going to fire you. I have to dismiss you because you're making me break halacha every week. Halacha says I have to protest you and I cannot benefit from these lights. You're making my life very hard. What, I'm going to avoid every room where you turn on the light for me? So therefore you got to stop doing these things. You got to listen to me when I tell you something, or else, Hasa Shalom, we're going to have to go and dismiss you. Next time we're going to speak about going to a hotel on Shabbat, how to deal with goyim in a hotel on Shabbat. Baruch Hu.